IIT IIM graduate, a plum job as an iBanker in Goldman Sachs in Hong Kong, to now being India's best-selling author. This man's journey has been no ordinary one, and you're right, I'm talking about none other than Chetan Bhagat. Thank you so much for taking time out and joining us, Chetan. Truly excited about recounting your life with you.
Thank you.
So I believe you're a, Punjabi family, Delhi boy, born and brought up, middle-class household. So would you say a father, army official, mother, a government official? So pretty much a regular middle-class childhood?
Yeah, I would say it was pretty regular. I mean, my father would be posted in a lot of different places, but we were brought up in Delhi and my mother was working in a government job. So nothing opulent or, I mean, it was quite simple. I remember money used to be always a issue, like, we now don't have enough money for this or that.
And anything about your childhood that is particularly, strikes a bell or stays with you or has made you the person you are?
I remember I used to be good at two things, in making people laugh and good at maths. And I remember I was told that, okay, let's focus on maths then, because making people laugh is not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
So that I remember. There was something in me that I loved entertaining people. But it was never something that was seen to be a useful thing to have. It was just like, "Ye bada hasata hai." But it's finally the ability to entertain that gave me by the final career, and that's why I have this interview. Right. You wouldn't be interviewing a boring banker.
So, you're an IIT IIM graduate, so clearly pedigree education. When you are an IIT graduate and you go on to becoming an IIMA graduate, you're clearly, at least at that point in time, you were clear about the career choices you wanted to make. Am I correct?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I knew that I did IIT and I saw engineering. While I liked it, I felt like the human component is too low in this degree, and I felt for some reason that doing an MBA will bring that, because it's about management and it's about people and managing people. But I wouldn't say I had a very clear idea that I want to do this. It was more like, okay, this is the opportunity I have, and it seems like a good one. But I wouldn't say I had my calling decided by then.
But you were clear, like most people at that age, that you wanted a corporate career. I
wanted to make money. I just wanted to make money like any middle class boy, and that was one way. But it's not like I saw executives and I dreamt that, oh, I want to be a corporate executive.
Because you were also an A student, you were best student at IIMA. So, you had all the makings of...
Yeah, I did, but I'm also very non-conformist in many ways. So, I think I still find corporates a little stifling. I mean, I with all respect for a lot of corporates I've worked for, but I find them a little like unproductive and just bureaucratic, and like things like meetings and conference calls. I mean, it's not my style. So I find the corporate culture a little stifling, but it was enjoyable. To work in a Goldman Sachs is an experience. It's like an education.
Absolutely.
Almost.
So, you finished your graduation from Ahmedabad, and then you moved on to Goldman Sachs, and then you were working in Hong Kong. Tell me a little bit about your, your campus life, because I think a lot of your writing, seems to be inspired from, of course, your own life and your own learnings. So tell me a little bit about your campus life.
So there were two campuses. One is IIT and one is IIM. They're kind of similar, but they're kind of very different too. IIT campus is like literally you enter when you're 17, 18, hormonal boys. Sure. Mostly like we just have no clue what we are doing. And it's the first time you're out of the house, you're living in a hostel. So you learn a lot and you make some really deep friendships, because it's only men and it's still that age which is like adolescent plus kind of age. So I think you do a lot of things for the first time, like many people smoke their first cigarette,
sure.
or
drink their first
drink,
date
or
their
make
first
girl or fail at dating their first girl. Sure. All those heartbreaks, have their first heartbreak. So I think it was a very rewarding experience for me, and I think that did lay the foundation of I wasn't a very confident child before that, and I was always underconfident about my abilities. But after getting through IIT and surviving there and seeing some of the smartest people in the country, suddenly my standards I expected out of myself changed. Certainly my view on the world and what is excellence changed. And I think I felt wherever I go, whether it's engineering or not, I will carry this with me. IIM was very different. It was shorter, just 2 years, and A lot of people come there at different ages, you know, like some people have 5 years of experience and they are in the same class as you. So it's not there are friendships, but not the same kind of growing up together kind of friendships. And I was in a relationship. It was very intense. I think IIT had more fun because I didn't take my studies as seriously, but in IIM I did. These two campuses have made me who I am today.
You know, you just talked briefly about the fact that it was when you got through the IIT is when you got your confidence, and before that you were not such a confident person. What was the reason you believe was the reason for your underconfidence?
I guess because I was from a middle class family and I never was very good at any sport in school or and people around me, like, I mean, we never had people who were like big achievers or who had done something remarkable. So for me also, I felt okay, I'm just an ordinary boy and therefore I should not speak up much and therefore I don't know much. And what do I know? And what do I know about dreaming big, or what do I know about my views on the world? So I think, and some of it is just the personality you have, I think, and my personality was that.
You have also talked about, you know, the fact that you've had a lot of breakups, a lot of rejections, and you've said that, you know, it's great for a writer to be rejected because you have that many more stories to tell.
Only if you're finally accepted. It's not great when you keep on getting rejected. It's certainly not fun.
That's well said. So you had these, relationships, some, you know, failed, rejected, etc. And then, of course, you met your life partner at IIM Ahmedabad. But then you got a job with Goldman Sachs. You were living in Hong Kong. To anybody from the outside who'd be viewing your life, it would be the absolutely perfect life, right? You've got your degrees, now you've got this plush job as an iBanker in Hong Kong, you're married, you know, so everything is actually going on track.
Twin boys, everything.
Everything's going on track, you know, children. So the
life, Indian dream.
The
middle class Indian dream.
It's picture perfect.
Yeah, except it's not.
Exactly.
Clearly, that's why.
So tell me a little bit about the rumblings inside your mind at that point in time.
Yeah, so I think I got that, and it was a big high to suddenly, like, somebody who's struggled with money all their life and suddenly to get paid in dollars, which translates to lakhs and lakhs in India, and
living
you're like
you're
21.
So
it's a
lot
lot
easier.
of so a lot of fun. But I felt after a few years, I felt, is this it? It almost felt like the world, like you said that you need to be very happy now. You better be very happy because this is the great Indian dream and you've achieved it, and now you must be really happy. Except I was not, and I tried to tell myself that I'm happy, okay, I'm really happy, I can afford this, I can buy this, but I was truly not, and it was very strange. And I felt, I was in my mid-20s and I felt, is this it? Now life is done and there is nothing more. People expect that you are sorted, you are settled. That's the word that people use in India, like you're settled. And it wasn't that. Settled doesn't make you so happy. So I felt like this is a bit of a scam they are doing with middle class students. They make them go through the drill to get into IIT, and then IIM, most of them can't make it. The few who make it, even they are not happy. So something is off here. And then I felt like, what made me happy? Let me look back. I kind of broke every assumption I had of what was a good thing to do. And I said, okay, let me look back at my life and what made me happy. Being in campus made me happy. Having friends made me happy. And I remember I used to write plays in campus. I used to direct plays in campus, and that made me happy. And I was like, that made me happy. This is not making me as happy. It's nice to have the money, but it's not making me as happy. So let me do something to add to my happiness. So I started writing on a book.
How? So were you like unhappy at work?
Yeah, there was a really bad boss I had.
Okay.
So I just really wanted to take revenge on him also. That helped.
Sure.
So I had this LBDN strategy. Don't try this. It's called look busy, do nothing. So I'm sure we've all done this. That's another corporate thing people do.
That's true.
But and there are quite a few of those. And so I started writing in an office, and I didn't know what to write about. I also remember this. So I was like, okay, let me write about when I was happy, which is my campus. So let me write about my IIT campus life. Literally, I didn't know that
So
what
while you were working in this, not with this terrible boss, you just started penning.
Yeah, and I mean, and it really was about my 3 friends, and it was like the fun we used to have, and you know, the girlfriends we tried to make and things like that. And I didn't know at that time that the whole country one day will know this.
Sure.
But it literally was in one little cubicle in Goldman Sachs where a not so happy associate tried to vent out through this, and that's how it began. And then it's not like I wrote it and it made me happy. Then it started getting rejected. But then when I
So
finished,
you're saying you finished the book and then you started with
pitching it to publishers. And I mean, we didn't have so much digital communication at that time, so it was kind of hard. You send an email and they never respond. But it was just kept getting rejected. So then the happiness went down even more.
Sure.
Because like, oh, you tried this thing and now you're unhappy because you're not happy in the bank, you're not being able to publish a book. But one day somebody did.
But how did you crack Rupa?
Rupa just, it was rejected even at Rupa.
Okay.
And, but what I did, and I think that's one lesson in life, when I asked why have you rejected, and I genuinely wanted to know. Most people didn't bother explaining, but the few people did.
Yeah.
They said make it more gripping and make it this, that, and I think somebody just said, you know, it needs to be like, and different publishers gave me different views. Somebody said make it funny, somebody said make it very thrilling, somebody said make it unputdownable, somebody said make it very relatable. So I tried to reread the book and put everything in it. So if you read 5 Point Someone, it has everything. It has a love story, it is a story of friendship, it is a story with a social message, which is the education system. It has a thrilling moments when they are stealing the paper and all that, and it has a suicide attempt. It has everything, because I said, let me just put a full buffet here. And I think Rupa liked it.
So that got published. You were not at that point in time a well-known author.
No. And neither was there any Twitter or Facebook or anything then.
Right.
So
the journey of that book becoming a bestseller was also a journey.
It was a gradual journey. It came out, I remember, and I was very happy that it's come out. And by that time, I was so tired of the process of getting rejected and getting published that I was just happy that this has had some sort of a okay ending. And now I have this book and it'll stay in my bookshelf.
And you're a published author.
Yeah, and that's it. And when my friends come, I'll say I work in a bank, but I also wrote this book. That's the end of story. A lot of people do that.
Sure.
And but slowly, you know, I started getting mails. I put my email ID in that book, and they said we really loved it, and you know, we cried and we stayed up all night and we laughed, and I've never felt a book could do this to me. Some people said I've never been able to finish a book in my life, and there were these really remarkably good emails, and I was like, I don't know. Like maybe all authors get this kind of feedback, maybe people are generous and kind, but people did really like it. At that time, I was not a very known person, so even the few book reviews I got were very good. Mm-hmm. I think once you get too big, that's when the critics don't like you. But when you are not a threat, or I don't know, when you are not such a big person, they are kinder. And so I think around a year from then, I had my next book. But when 5 Point Someone came out, the launch in Crossword, Mumbai had 15-20 people.
Sure. Okay.
10 were Crossword staff and 10 were my friends. But when One Night at Call Center came out, I had like 200 people there. And I was like, what happened? Something's happening. And they had read my book and they had come for the second. And by the time the third book came out, which was 3 Mistakes of My Life, in 2008, that is 4 years later, we did the launch at Phoenix Market City,
right,
in Parel, and we did it in the open area, and 3,000 people came, and that's when I knew that something is really happened.
You are striking a chord.
This is big now, yeah. And then actually that's when I decided that I need to quit.
Did you make a lot of money from your...
No.
You didn't.
It was becoming popular, but I mean...
But not enough, right?
No. And what are you comparing it to? You're comparing to a salary in Goldman Sachs and all that. So it was like a 90% drop or a 95% drop in income when I quit.
So tell me, Chetan, you must have gone through some dilemma within yourself, discussing it with your wife, you know, moving geographies, you know.
It was very tough. And the bank job felt like something I had to do, but just pays a lot of money. But my heart was not in it. I didn't hate it, And that's almost worse because you kind of don't mind it. I can still discuss with you. I still watch ET now for stocks. I have a very early investing habit.
Oh.
And because of that, I was able to quit. A lot of people don't know this.
Oh, okay.
But because I was buying Apple shares the day the iPhone was released, that's when why I've been able to quit. And my wife was working, so that helped.
And she was okay with your decision? She just
Not-
didn't think that you were
They were all
being
nervous.
delusional?
Everybody was nervous. Yeah, yeah. Everybody felt this could be a fad.
Right.
You could be a fad and it'll go away and you have no income and you're quitting your career. That's when I felt, that's when the calling came. Like I would be in client meetings. I was in Deutsche Bank by then, and I took a transfer to India. I said, okay, let me not quit and I'll work from, and in client meetings, clients were taking autographs for the kids. And I was like, that day I felt, what am I really doing here? Like, these guys, anybody can do this bank job and this doesn't happen, and it's now or never. I took some examples like Upmanyu Chatterjee, who wrote English August.
Right.
He's an IS person. He never quit. Or Vikas Swarup, who's the Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
He's still working. He's like in Ministry of External. He's like quite senior now. And they didn't leave. So I was very scared. I asked my publisher. They said, don't leave.
Wow.
We've seen this business and it will come and go. And my folks said that, what are you doing?
Of
right?
course.
I quit. And there was a void for a few months. And I said, okay, I'm going to do something fun. And that's when I wrote Two States, which is, people say, is one of my best books. And there was no looking back, really. I mean, the columns started happening. I started writing a column. I started doing talks. I started doing TV shows.
So a little bit about Two States, which is really about, your personal love story with your wife. Tell me, when you were writing the book, how was she with it?
So it is fictional. It's not exactly like.
Sure, you're dramatizing it and all
I think
that.
she was, first of all, not very encouraging that I should write this book, not because of our story. She said it's like a done to death. She said, what is this South Indian girl and Punjabi boy? It's nothing big. This has been done in Ek Duje Ke Liye 25 years ago, which is correct.
Yeah.
But I felt I had a different, like a fresher take on it, and which is like, it's not like the parents are fighting, it's about convincing. And so firstly, she was wondering whether the book is going to work. And then she read it, and I told her it's fictionalized, and it is fictionalized. Only what is interesting is it's got some points from my life, which is like I went to IIM, I met her there, I got married. But a lot of the things in the middle are all fictionalized.
So you're saying you had no real trouble with your parents or her
No,
parents?
she did tell me to cut a few portions.
She did. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, which have not made it to the book. But now my in-laws are famous because of Two States.
Yeah. Did you also face, some kind of resistance between both families because you had such, different cultural backgrounds?
Yeah, of course. No, it's not like the cultural differences weren't there or there was zero conflict.
Yeah.
No, there was. And that's why I wrote the book, because I was quite surprised again that here we have like people whose children have done IIM, and we are the middle class success stories.
Sure.
But even we are being asked, why are you marrying a South Indian girl, and why are you marrying, like, we are like the evolved,
So called.
But that's how people are, people's prejudices come most when you have to choose a partner. You ask people, are you secular? I'm very secular. I say, okay, so will you be okay if your child marries someone from another religion?
Sure.
They're like, which religion?
Right.
So that's when.
Little bit about, what went through when you started being criticized, because while you have been appreciated and you're India's bestseller, you've got your fair share of criticism.
It's been there. I mean, it's not like I started being criticized. Apart from the first book, I was unknown. So I'm not worth criticizing, I guess. Right? Why would you criticize somebody who's nobody? But it's remained. The criticism has been a part of my brand, and it's very small section, but it's a very loud section. Some of it is coming from a certain view of what literature should be.
Sure.
And that's what's being taught to them in school. Okay, these are the classics and these are good books. And the good books can't be about children drinking in a hostel and fooling around with the professor's daughter. That's not literature. And that's what the teacher told them, and I think that's where the problem is, because literature is about reflecting what is happening in society today. I didn't make these things happen. I didn't create prejudices, the north south. I merely captured it, and that's what's happening today. And if a book connects with millions of people, I think the author has done the job. There is no more explanation required. You know, it's up to the critics then to study why this book worked, rather than saying, oh, he's not good, he's not good. It's irrelevant. Even if I wrote a book in sign language,
sure, you're right.
If it's connected, you have to understand that. But I unfortunately find that analysis missing.
You're right.
It's all very book knowledge of what a good book should be, which is sad, because literature is about opening minds. And I often ask these literature majors, didn't you think literature was about opening minds? Why are you being so close-minded now? I remember now Delhi University included one of my books.
Yeah, exactly.
And what a brouhaha it created, my God. I didn't do anything. But it was they didn't even, people criticized it without knowing what is happening. I mean, it was a course on popular fiction in India, being taught in India. So you will not include the highest selling author for the last 10 years.
How did you deal with it? Because, you know, to be honest, being criticized, however evolved you are, it hurts. And especially if you're going to be criticized by your peers, right?
Yeah, I don't see them as my peers.
Okay.
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, really. I mean, they're not my peers. And I think, but still, it hurts. It used to hurt a lot more in the beginning because you're insecure about yourself. And I think over time you become more secure, and it really doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because it's nonsense. It's utter garbage. A lot of the criticism is utter garbage. If there is some meaningful criticism, like I told you, I ask people, I take feedback, I learn from it. But a lot of what is happening on the internet now is utter garbage.
Okay. So you're saying that you no more care to be part of the inner literary circle?
I never cared about
Okay.
all that. And there is no inner literary circle. There isn't. They
As
don't
they
even
would
know.
call the old boys elite
Yeah,
club,
they are just a
you
little
know.
club of their
Yeah,
own,
yeah.
but they are not connected to India. It's not like they control Indian literature, or they have any power, or they have any reach, or they have any connect. It's just a bunch of wannabes.
You know, I want to talk a little bit about, and just let me know how comfortable you are. I want to talk about your childhood. I believe a lot of, you know, like your childhood was filled with, you know, a lot of angst because of your relationship with your father.
Yeah, I've never had a good relationship with him, and I don't know why that is, and that's a whole different interview or a therapy session. I don't know, but like I said, there was issues I had. I didn't have a very happy childhood, and I think that's what makes me a good writer. They often say that
Sure.
a troubled childhood helps you.
But when you say a troubled childhood, what do you mean? Because your father was an army official.
It was just like money problems. My parents always had differences between each
But
other.
that's most Indian households.
So most Indian kids have troubled childhoods. I think that doesn't make it normal. I mean, most Indian kids are like suffering sometimes. I wouldn't say most, but many dysfunctional families are there, and they just never acknowledge it, or they don't ever. But you know, I had to get past this, and I noticed in my writing always the father figure was dead, or paralyzed in 5.1, or a bad father kept happening. And I remember meeting one French journalist. He told me that there seems to be an issue. I've read all your books, and it's like, because they're from outside, they sometimes, in all your books, each character's father is not there, or either they are not there, or they're bad or something, and what's happening. So I said I have to use this writing to forgive him, you know. And I wrote 2 states, and in 2 states, if you remember the movie or the book, in the end, the climax is the father lands up at the wedding. But in real life, that never happened.
Oh.
So, but in my version of the truth, which is my book, I made my father come and gave it a happy ending. And I got closure. And the other big thing that changed is I became a father. And so for me now, father initially meant my father. But now when you say father, it means
You
me
as a father.
as a father to my kids.
Okay.
So I think that's really brought a change in me, and now I'm seeing how amazing that relationship can be.
Did you ever go and meet a psychiatrist?
Yeah, I did, and that's how the scene in 2 states where the whole story is told
Right,
from a psychiatrist room.
right.
Yeah, I did.
You did?
Before I quit my job.
Before you quit your job?
Yeah.
How was that? And I really like
Because I was really not able to decide. Like I told you, like I
Okay.
was, and it must have been the most stressful period of my life. But I've gone to a psychotherapist to get clarity. Sometimes you can't decide very difficult decisions. I think I'm a good decision maker, but some decisions are just too hard.
Sure.
So for that I went.
You know, I was particularly intrigued by a quote of yours in which you've said the world's most sensible person and the biggest idiot both reside within us. And the worst part is you can't tell who is who, right? If you can tell me, when have you been, you know, the world's most sensible person, and when have you been the biggest idiot in the world?
I think it's mostly idiot, but a few sensible things I have done is taking these career decisions, and it is this fundamentally believing in myself. I think that somewhere down the line has paid off for me. That's the only thing that has paid off for me. The idiotic decisions, I don't want to reveal to the world.
See,
some
when
of
you're
them
successful, you can actually reveal them.
No, some of them I'm not sure if they're legal or not. So
okay, fair enough. Fair enough. We leave it at that. Okay. On that note, thank you so much, Chetan Bhagat. This was truly a pleasure.
Thank you.
Lovely recounting your journey with you.
Thank you.
And all the very best for your new projects.
Thank you, Sonali. Thank you for having me.